Good evening. Woo, I broke a thing. This was me. This one was mine. So I'm taking it back. This is odd having this thing, but makes me feel studious. In my library, there are 17 books. 1, I held a shrine to you above my head for so many years. It sparkled like a Hindu god and hung there, the heaviest of my heaviest hats. 2, my face, it is a bicycle riding downhill. Lick me with your headlights. I'll forget my helmet at home, break my femurs upon your fender. 3, I'm filled with so much hip-hop. My elbow rhymes with dirty sandwich. 4, my dirty sandwich beatboxed. And my elbow said back, I placed 2 pancakes upon 2 plates. When I cut them back and forth, the porcelain breaks. 5, I was never a broken man, but I too know how to pick the pieces up. Some days, the pieces are all teeth pulled from the mouths of children. Some days, they are simply books, searching for shelves. 6, I've carved shells out of my heart to try and bring an order to things. All it did was make space. 7, the floor of my bedroom, it is a junkyard. The myth of an earth-sized snake is coiled upon it. Some days, I'm a god of thunder lifting cats. Some days, I walk 9 paces, turn and fall, walk 9 paces, turn and fall. I die every single time. 8, I know that peace can come with the finishing of a popsicle, and that some ceilings are prayers to Mustangs. Staring into the candle's flames, I have begged for its heat to pull me out of some of these rooms. Saw the eyebrows of God in furniture. Some furniture looks at you disappointingly. 9, some chairs still stare like they are still proud of what you are. 10, some ladies' legs are shaped like confessionals. And some confessionals are built like the bows of burning boats. Speaking through both, my body caught fire like everything else. 11, I have eaten so much cedar wood. There are so many forests growing in my belly. So much sawdust on the floor of my love. I've been sweeping it up for so many days now, but each day I sweep up a little more. One day, my floors will be clean. 12, I clench my hands into fists in case I run into myself. I have something I want to give him. I won't know what it is until he's standing before me, prying the palms open. 13, I was 8 years old the first time I learned to break dance on the floor of Angela's bohemian loft apartment. Little Ray, he taught me the centipede. He was 13 years old and had a skateboard, was a lighthouse, a tower, Antarctica, so damn cold, he dropped the D and came up with an extra O. 14, I have pulled the bones out of my body to carve temples from them. There is holy text under my nails. I do not know what it says, but some days are spent doing nothing but staring into the tips of my fingers. 15, hold a mirror up to what I once was. You would only see guitar strings shimmering in the light. 16, when I snaked my body like the river, I didn't even need the music to play. The adults were in the other room. I used the floorboards as the beat. I stood up, dirt on my shirt. My teeth had been replaced with bits of gold. An old man held me in a pan, ran water over my bones, and from under the dirt of his palms, I shone. Thank you. It is a real treat to get to be here tonight, so thank you for coming out tonight. Come closer. Come closer. Come into this. Come closer. You are quite the beauty. There is joy in how your mouths dance with your teeth. Your smiles are simply signs of how sacred your life actually is, so come into it. Come closer. Know that whatever God might be, he asked of the world to help him make something of worth. He woke from dreaming, scraped soil from the spaces stuck somewhere inside himself. He made you. He made you and he was happy. You make the Lord happy. Come into this. Come closer. Know that something softer than us, but just as holy, planted pieces of himself into our feet that we might one day dance our way back. Know that you are almost home. Come just a little bit closer. There are birds that beat their wings beneath your breastplates. Gentle sparrows that ache to sing. Come aching hearts. Come soldiers of joy, doormen of truth. Know that my heart was too big for my body, so I let it go. And most days, this world has thinned me to the point where I'm just another cloud, forgetting another flock of swans, having shaved off so many of my corners that I felt at home only in the shape of a ball, bending myself so far backwards that the song of my mother believed that I was returning. But believe me, when I tell you that somehow my soul still manages to squeeze into narrow spaces. Place your hand beneath your head when you sleep tonight, and perhaps you will find it there, making beauty as we sleep, as we dream, as we turn over. When we turn over in the ground, may the ghosts that we have asked answers of do that turning, kneading us into crumbs of light and into this thing called life. Come into it, come, you wooden museums, gentle tigers, little giants. I see teacups upside down, glowing across your grins. Your hearts are like my hands. Some days all they do is tremble. I am like you. I am like you. I too at times am filled with so much fear, but like a hallway must find the strength to walk through it. Walk through this with me, through this church of blood, bone, and muscle that is ours. There is a doorknob that glows like chance before you. Grab it, turn, and pull. Step through, back straight, chin up, eyes open, hearts loud. Walk through this with me. Walk through this with me. For you and me, you and I, we are not so very different. We are more alike at times than we appear to be. We all wanted a high school sweetheart. We wanted to be young in the 50s with meatloafs and sock hops and lawns so perfect they looked like Clark Gable was kissing them. We wanted to be 13 and alive and meet a girl that was 13 and alive and walk with her past the grandstands, to sit and hold hands with, to sit and sit with, to sit and kiss with like it was something that you would miss, but that never was. We once wanted to be poor, but not too poor. Connecting this country like Kerouac and Thumbs, pulling small-town waitresses into backseats and trailer park homes, where the two of you would find passion expanding between the locking of your bones until morning would come to find you out on the road with your pockets empty except for your hands. But your hands, they'd be overflowing with your soul. But that's not what happened. We once went to bed like between the bed sheets was a valley where dinosaurs still breathed. And how we would capture these triceratops and brontosauruses, but even he was opened up with the smoke that rose out of the homes and the corners that we once climbed through. The streets and the footballs with which we once threw, the school desks upon which we once drew, the windows that sat open through which we once flew before the outside world of parking spaces and dead friends came flooding on in. And we forgot what we wanted, and we became what we become. Waitresses, bartenders, city employees, temp positions, weird junkies, and one-kiss poems, and we cry the stars as we write our scars onto dumpsters and electric boxes, because the only thing that we can hear is our hearts, and the only ones listening are the streets, the blood that breathes, the letters we leave when we dream to rise ourselves up out of these burning buildings. But instead we get buried somewhere beneath, because I know my life is like some high school kid's notebook, that kid that shuffles back and forth between school and home, stacking the letters and the pictures too close for anyone outside of his own imagination to read, because it's through the ink that his heart beats, that his heart breathes, and we all just wanted to write these notes. Check if you like me. Check if you don't. Check if you'll date me. Check if you won't, because we all wanted the love songs to be true, and we did love dinosaurs once. We wanted the stars to hold our hands, to lick the teeth, to fuck us, but they ended up fucking us. So let your smiles twist, like my heart dancing precariously on the edge of my fingertips, staining them like that same high school kid licking his thoughts using his Sharpie tip, writing, I was here. I was here. And ain't none of y'all can write that in the spot that I just wrote it in. I'm here, motherfucker, and we all here, motherfucker, and we all motherfuckers, motherfucker, because every breath I breathe brings me a second closer to the day that my mother may die, and every breath I take takes me a second further the moment she caught my father's eye, and every word I carry is another stone to put into place, and the foundation that I'm building these days and erase something that I never saw, what all of us wanted and what none of us got, what we all had and have, and we all forgot, that we all wanted to be something, that we all became something, and it might not be the mess we thought to be when we were kids, but something is still something, and like some cats say, something's better than nothing. Feet are smarter than an engine, and dreams are stronger than thighs, and questions are the only answers we need to have to know that we as alive as a time when I held the mind of a child, asking, why is 2 + 3 always equal to 5? Where do people go to when they die? What made the beauty of the moon and the beauty of the sea? Did that beauty make you? Did that beauty make me? Will it make me something? Will I be something? Am I something? And the answer comes, you already are. You always were. And you still have time to be. Thank you. Thank you, Minneapolis. Last time I was in Minneapolis, and not St. Paul, because I've been to St. Paul, but not Minneapolis, except once, and that was like 2005, 2006, and our car window was busted, and somebody jacked my girlfriend at the time's video camera. But I had a delightful day here today, so there's nothing to even forgive. This is a piece I wrote for this show called The Encyclopedia Show. And they take artistic collaborators and give them a topic that's part of a larger topic. So maybe they'll have a themed show about bears, and people will be assigned to write about polar bears and grizzly bears and the Chicago Bears. And people usually make these strange amalgams of fact and bullshit. And so this is one that was down in Austin on stereotypes. So this is 21 thoughts on the stereotype that all brown people are terrorists. Which is good because I'm brown and a terrorist. So I speaketh of experiences. 1, my mother is black. My father Iranian. As an American, this means that I am born under 2 bad signs. 2, acts of terror are constituted by the use of violence against civilians to intimidate and induce fear for political, religious, or other ends. 3, I am not certain, but I do not think every brown thing is hoping to commit acts of terror. I have encountered a number of brown dogs that were not terrorists. This is not to equate the brown man with the dog, I'm just saying it's interesting. 4, I have known my fair share of white dogs that were total shits. 5, my parents have 3 brown chairs. Only one of them is a terrorist. 6, Mount Rushmore. Brown, not a terrorist. 7, do you remember how crazy this country was after 9/11? I remember it was so fucking crazed with fear, I had dreams of men on the street beating my father because of his accent and name. 8, my father, not a terrorist. 9, the census labels Middle Eastern as being Caucasian. 10, Dick Cheney, not brown. 11, Noam Chomsky says if they do it, it's terrorism. If we do it, it's counterterrorism. The machine of propaganda is a strange and colorblind and colorful machine. During World War II, comics pushed forward stories centered around American supermen triumphing over the Germans and the Japanese. It is always easiest to turn the hearts by affecting the eyes. 12. The Red Scare was based on fear of the unknown, fear of opposing ideologies. McCarthyism was a terrorist act committed by a government on its own people. 13. 10 years after the buildings fall, I am in the airport security line, and the woman asks me if my name, sounding a tad bit foreign, and my face, looking a tad bit Baghdad, asks if the name is a family name. I've never known there to be a different kind. 14. Growing up, my favorite television show was MacGyver. I never learned how to make a bomb from watching it. Perhaps this was not the case with other brown people. 15. Osama bin Laden, not white. 16. My friend Tim Perkins told me when he was a kid he went to a largely black school. He's white. One day, his friends were talking about white folks and he asked, well, what about me? They said, you're not white, you're Italian. This has nothing to do with terrorists, I just find it interesting. 17. The most famous American domestic terrorist, Timothy McVeigh, killed 168 innocent people in the Oklahoma City bombing. Timothy McVeigh, not Italian. 18. The IRA has committed acts of terror for 70 plus years. How long before did England begin theirs? 19. The American presidency, like the leaders of all nations, comes with it the administrating of acts of terror for the betterment and protection of its citizens. Bush and Clinton. This does not make it right, it only makes it quieter. 20. Sometimes, when I watch television, I ask myself, is that brown man a terrorist? What about that one? And that one, is he? The first man is Wayne Brady, of course. The second is Aziz Ansari. The third is my president. I do not know the answers to my questions. 21. Public Enemy tells me this country is a fear of a black planet. Such heavy clothing fear becomes upon our bodies. Our coats will not save us, no matter how clean, how starched, how bright and white they may be. We are all Russians. Every one of us Russians, born under a strange time in American history. Thank you. I got a few more for y'all. Here's something a little bit lighter. I've been married a little more than a year and a half, and this is a poem about how my wife makes me feel. I gotta roll in my sleeves to talk about it. This is how she makes me feel. Like a nuclear reactor power plant. It harnesses not any strange, harmful energy, but rather the energy of the sun, of daisies, of golden marbles filled up past the brim. Behind me, there is a rainbow. The nuclear reactor that I am harnesses the power of that rainbow as well, capturing the whole spectrum of color and light. This is how she makes me feel. Like a great gray stone tall tower rising up out of the ocean. From my window at the top of that tower, I watch the world. I watch the waves. There is nothing but ocean for so far. From up here, the ocean looks like it is the biggest thing in the universe. From up here, it is the universe. From my room, sitting atop the top of the universe, watching its waves of water move in unison together, I feel like maybe I am bigger. This is how she makes me feel. Like I was 17, running slow motion through a field, lit with light, particles of dust, moving through the air, the sun burning their bodies. Perhaps it is dust, perhaps it is magic dust. Perhaps this magical dust is what I am made from. I open my eyes, and everything I see floats. I'm on a boat. It is night, The world has calmed itself just to hold me inside all that is darkness, just to rock me gently. This is how she makes me feel. The subway chambers of Moscow. I am vaulted. I have giant chandeliers hanging from my underground ceilings. I glow with so much light. I am a ballroom for the trains of Russia. If you happen to be a child that has climbed down my steps to yell into my body, those echoes will bounce their way across these vaulted underground ceilings. This happens all the time. My dark tunnels are filled with these sounds. This is how she makes me feel. Like I will live forever. Like there is nothing that could possibly harm me. Like this body will somehow stay young and perfect. There are cities growing inside my chest. The cities all look like New York in the 50s. Every building is tall enough to touch a cloud, every automobile a convertible. The men all wear hats and neckties. The women all have beautiful shapes of color upon them. Someone has saved a baby, there is a parade. Someone has saved all the babies. There is the biggest parade moving through my streets. The skies explode with ticker tape. Strangers kiss on every corner. Their kisses are what make me live forever. This is how she makes me feel. Like honey and trombones. Thank you. I was going to do 2 more poems, and this next poem, it's funny, it's all about, like, just the fucking power and awesomeness of poetry, and this one time I did it for these kids, and one of the moms was convinced that it was all about me shooting up heroin, and trying to teach all the kids to do the exact same thing, but it's not. It is not about dope. This is pretty rad getting to do this show. Like I've gotten to do a show with Patricia Smith once before, but never just the two of us. And when I was 18 in 1995, I just got turned on to the Poetry Slam, and I came across this used copy of a CD in a CD store, which is a place that sells things that music used to come on for all you young people. And it was an album of the National Poetry Slam in San Francisco, and this CD was, Patricia was on it, and so was Mark Smith and Reggie Capico and Lisa Viscani, and just like all these awesome folks. And for years, like I didn't have YouTube. YouTube wasn't this thing. You couldn't just be like, let me see what poetry being spoken is like, and just like Google it. You know, it's like all you had was this one CD with 14 tracks to listen to for like 5 years. Or like, you know, you'd go to a big poetry event and somebody would play you this like recording that they'd done on a tape recorder, like of somebody, and then you'd like scour online for anything about like Daniel Roop, you know? And there was nothing about Daniel Roop. All you had was the memory of this awesome poem that he did about Tupac Shakur, you know? And so like for so long that CD just, you know, was my classroom and my anchor. And so it's a joy and a blessing and an honor to get to be in the same room, much less share the same stage space as Patricia Smith. So that's just a personal awesomeness. Thank you to Bow for thinking of me in regards to this evening. But that being said, back to some poems. The poem that's not about heroin. It's called Galumphdy's Nuts. I didn't say that when I was doing it for the kids, by the way, because they're like 10, so I didn't use the phrase D's nuts. I just used the second half of the title. So the title is called Galumphdy's Nuts, Galumphdy's Spine, Shoulders, and Collarbones of Mine. In my underwear, I write poetry. 2-headed poetry. 3-legged poetry. Poetry with 10 spigots and no training wheels. There are flames airbrushed across my back. And I have bare feet. Bare feet. Bare feet. Ah! Speak up, I walk with sticks in my ears and filling twigs with sentences, filing my nails down with memories. My love, it can shave diamonds. Scientists speculate over it. I come from the moon. Neil and Buzz and that third guy, they walked across my tummy. I giggled and a spoonful of cherry tasted like cherries and wallabies. I write 2 underwear poems. My poems take off both underwears and ants naked around the candelabra in the living room. I am writing wrist and rubber bands on the back of the belly's bathtub, pressing my lips to the shower curtain. I whisper, the goat man is in the woods dancing. The chupacabra, the bookman, the golden nugget. There was a cloud splintering like a kneecap inside of my leg. Buy me pants, mother. Buy me a hat. There are moths in my shoulders. I am shaking. I am full of love. I was full of love. I carved out pear-shaped slices of it and fed a million tired ankles. God sat on my shoulder like a cricket. I swatted a bee like a father's advice and asked for it again. Where can I go when every bridge has wheels running alongside its bottom? But I write poems with no training wheels. I write my skull like it was a color I was picking up and examining inside of my hands for the very first time. Standing at the corner of Central Park East and 63rd Street, I hold an imaginary football like a small child, stand 2 inches in front of a yellow wall and scream directly into the wall's bricks, "Go deep!" And as I fling the big skin against the wall, I try to catch my childhood bouncing back at me. Go deep! I'm a 3-headed galumph, a blue giraffe, a water fountain on the moon. Catch me, carbon. Catch me, galumph. Catch me, galumph catcher. Catch me, Lord. Hold me like a bowl, like how the clouds hold the moon, holding the rooftops of this city in my memories, in my veins. In my veins there was a lonely mermaid, murmuring all day long. She sing, he sing, such beautiful songs. Her throat, it is a girl I once knew. Her nose, it is made of silver. Her backbone is a plum. Her backbone is a plum. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, Bao just ran off. But thank you, Bao. Thank you to the Loft, Equilibrium. Thank you all for coming out tonight. And you guys are in for a really fantastic treat right after I get off of this microphone. This is my last poem. It's called Sokka. I was just following the little dog through the skinny trees. I was just collecting water glasses. I was taking them to the well and carrying them back, one by one, trying not to drop a single drop. I was wearing the same shirt as the day before, and the day before that, and the day before that, and the day before that. Asking all of my ghosts to join me on the dance floor. Let's twist, let's shimmy. While the room waltzes, I will Watusi. I was Jimmy Switchblade. I was the Three Cherries gang. I was the tallest cigarette in the pack. I was black jacket, collared up. I was actually yellow shirt lost. I was laying in the dirt and piling it on. I believed if I kept trying to bury myself, then perhaps I could talk to some other world, but I just got dirty. My belly was heavy. For months, I could barely move. After she left, I barely moved. I watched the sun go down, and in its absence, I dreamt of the bicycle. But I did not know what the bicycle was. I dreamt of the bicycle and thought, what a strange horse that fish is. Do I kill it or ride it? How do I do either of those? Instead, I rode the airplanes like they were church, staring out the windows, hoping my chains would not climb this high. At this altitude, all my angels were turning blue. I made a list of my body parts that no longer worked, folded it into an envelope, hoping my mother or my former lover would one day come across it. That list is a poem, not a list. So is this one. I rode the airplanes until they brought me 530 miles from the room that I was born inside of. My fists then were not so much smaller than they are now, simply tighter. I've been shrinking. I've been shrinking more and more with every coming month. The South, it is my beautiful bed. One day bury me in it. Till then, I will touch it from time to time. carry me inside of its wet, wet heat. I sweat when I walk. When I walk, I see my dreams come closer. What I thought was a horse or a fish was really a girl on a bicycle. She had small fingers but reached them towards me. I neither killed nor rode her. All I did was make a hand. All I did was get wet. All I did was shake my body like a library in an earthquake. I spilled my books like holy water. The ceiling spun in closer to read all that I was. I was 1,000 years of hard-covered spines, splinters on my tongue from licking the roofs of so many fallen cathedrals. I'd worked so long and hard for this heavy sorrow. So I asked my boss for the night off, caught another plane, rode it to a dance in Chicago, combed my hair, slicked down with pomade, put my shiniest belt buckle on. I saw Susie on the dance floor. She put a quarter in the jukebox, grabbed me like a policeman and asked, "What you do, Ace?" I told her I work at a malt shop, and sometimes I bury things, but I ain't too good at that. I ain't always too good at that, I told her. She looked at me like we had prayed on the same cliff. She told me she didn't believe in God anymore, and I told her I still did. Her and I, we pray on the same cliff. She held me like a handcuff. I swallowed keys. I danced with Susie all night long. I'm still waiting for that sun to come up. I don't care if it never does. I'm warm enough. Here, I'm warm enough. Thank you very much.